Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the class. Um, Today, we're going to be discussing um, about um, African history or Black history as it pertains to us, not as how it pertains into the school books. I wanted to create this organization or this institution or this um, class, course, school in order to be able to give give ourselves or that proper education uh, for Black people, cater to people that look like us. Because I know in the schools, the way they teach you, it leaves you empty-handed because you're not learning about your true history, and you're not really getting any valid type of information that you can actually use or apply to in the career that you pursue, whether that be in athletics or whether that be in art or music or the entertainment industry and the economical side of those things. So this class is to really just help you not only to prepare you for your career, but to better situate you in order for you to know and just be knowledgeable and understanding of history in the right way as it pertains to you, and give you a lot of the information that you might be missing. Because I know when it comes to questions that we may have questions of whether, what happened during this period of time, that period of time of Black history that we're not getting in the textbook. So we're going to go ahead and start the course. And first thing that I wanted to talk about in this course was about Black history. So the best place to start when it comes to Black history would be during the Transatlantic slave trade. That's a good middle ground to start with. You can go backwards or forwards, but this is the best middle ground that I know of to start with for teaching our history. So when you really look at the transatlantic slave trade, this is after Christopher Columbus had came over and landed in the Caribbean, and he had decided not to. It wasn't a friendly visit. He came in. As it was hot, he came in and he immediately knew what he wanted to do, which was enslave those people. So that's what he kind of did. He didn't come there to barter. He didn't come there to do no exchanges or anything like that. He came in there to specifically not only to kill those people or defeat them people, but he came with a specific agenda to actually enslave those people because that's what he was originally told to do. So this kind of started the entire cycle or period of enslavement and the transatlantic slave trade as it pertains to late 1400s and all throughout the 1500s. When Columbus actually took his the first enslaved people, which I believe it was two people, two boys. He took them back over to he took them back over to Spain, and this is where he taught the boys were to actually instruct and teach them about their language and their culture and things of that nature. So as time went past and as time went on, they began to continue the cycle of taking more and more trips to the transatlantic slave area, and this is where they continue to enslave black and brown people, and this is where they enslaved the natives that were there. So throughout the transatlantic slave trade, there were laws passed, and these laws that they were passing were to further enslavement and to encourage slave enslavement in the West Indies. So as they continued, um, Christopher Columbus and other conquistadors and other Portugal enslavers and capturers actually practiced enslavement. They made it better, or they refined it over a period of time. They did experiments. So what Christopher Columbus was doing, officially, each time he would go over to take more of the enslaved people, he would document his progress. He would document everything he was doing, everything he was experimenting, everything he was trying in order to make enslavement better. And what he found out was, when he wrote to the king, he found out that when bettering the conditions of an enslaved person, you would then make the enslavement process much easier by giving them little bits of housing and food and water and things like this. If you better the conditions, this is how you can perfect slavery. So as time and time passed, as Christopher Columbus continued to advance, he continued to practice his slave practices. They kind of refined it over a general period of time through documentation to the Pope of Portugal, and this is how they have continued to refine slavery. This started throughout the 1500s. And what's interesting about this is that laws were passed in the mid 1500s. I believe in the 1550, around this time, they started to pass laws. The Pope saying that slavery was over. They were canceling enslavement to the natives of the Americas. However, the funny thing about this enslavement was that the conquistadors and the Portugal enslavers, and they were still practicing enslavement in the West Indies, in the Americas. They didn't slow down even a bit after the law was passed. So then after another 30 years of continued enslavement after laws were passed, they decided that they were going to, or the Pope decided he was going to create another law, and this law specifically stated that, okay, you can enslave, but you have to sign a certain document and have a certain document passed in order to enslave. Again, this did not slow down enslavement even in the slightest. They continued to practice enslavement in the West Indies. They continued the transatlantic slave trade by taking them over, and they were making a lot of money off of these slaves. And with they weren't willing to stop that. So what had happened next is the Pope, about 3 years later, or maybe even a year later, a shorter period of time later, he passed even another law that stated that, okay, now you can't enslave. The only way you can go over and enslave is if I say so, if I say it's okay. So now he done passed, or there had been 3 laws passed discouraging first canceling slavery, then another 30 years later, one that says that, okay, canceling slavery, but you can enslave if you sign a document, and I passed it, saying that it's okay. And then he passed another law that said, okay, so now enslavement is not okay, it's only okay through me. So now you have these three laws, and basically, even with the law passed that proclaimed that enslavement was over with, um, no more enslavement, the natives are free. They continue the practice of slavery in the transatlantic slave trade. So when you look at this, um, we can go over to even further, or in that same time period. Um, they had a lot. This is where a lot of what you can really see here. This is where a lot of colonial politics and colonial government kind of work. These are kind of how they originate during this time. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when we look at how our systems are structured today, how the laws are passed, and they aren't really properly implemented in the ways in which they're passed. So when we look, we can really see you can really see the connection between what's going on in history and how it pertains to our present.